The Bible is a really remarkable document. It is a book of faith by people of faith for people of faith. But one thing it is not. It is not a firm, fixed set of rules. People of faith have been arguing about what the Bible teaches for centuries. Even before there was a New Testament, people argued about the Bible. Turns out, this is not beside the point. In many respects, it is the point. Different people read and interpret different parts of the Bible in different ways. This much is obvious. Here's the question: are there limits? And if so, is there a way to read and interpret the Bible responsibly? Let's find out. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. In a recent book called How the Bible Actually Works by a professor at Eastern University in Pennsylvania named Peter Enns, argues that the Bible is meant to be discussed and debated. It invites people of faith into conversations with the texts and with each other in a struggle to find out what God wants us to be and do. It is in the ongoing discussions with each other that we find meaning. I remember seeing a bumper sticker a few years ago that read, "God said it, I believe it, that settles it." What I want to suggest is, no, it doesn't settle it. That just means that the owner of the car in which that bumper sticker was displayed believes his or her own interpretation of the Bible is the only correct interpretation. And that qualifies as idolatry. One of the things I've learned by visiting Israel over the years is that Hasidic Jews argue with each other about the Bible. They study the Bible day in and day out, and they argue about the meaning of particular texts. And they have records of rabbis long dead who also argued about the Bible. The point of their debates is not to settle on the interpretation of a particular text, but simply to struggle together with the text to find meaning. In fact, the very name of the country, Israel, comes from their ancestor whose name God changed to Israel after one particular event. The story comes from Genesis 32. Jacob is about to meet his estranged brother Esau after many years away. Afraid that Esau will seek to kill him, he sends his family ahead of him. Then he's left alone the night before their meeting, and a strange thing happens. We read, "The same night he got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maids, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and likewise everything that he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, 'Let me go, for the day is breaking.' But Jacob said, 'I will not let you go unless you bless me.' So he said to him, 'What is your name?' And he said, 'Jacob.' Then the man said, 'You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed.'" This is a great metaphor for how we study the Bible. We struggle with it. That's what the name Israel means. We debate its meaning with each other, and we pull useful lessons from this process. But here's the question for today. Is this an anything goes process? Can we decide for ourselves what the Bible teaches, regardless of what others think? Well, at one level, of course we can. But should we? Or are there better ways to go about it? So, in the world of biblical interpretation, we use a sort of generic term to describe the process of interpreting biblical texts. The term is exegesis. It literally means to read out of. It is a disciplined way of exploring a text, whether a biblical text or any other text for that matter. The idea is to apply an interpretive method that helps draw out meaning. A huge hunk of a seminary education is devoted to this very thing. Now, there are different methods we can use to explore biblical texts, different kinds of exegesis. Exegesis doesn't refer to one specific method. Biblical scholars delve into the original languages of biblical texts and ask questions like, what did this particular word mean in the ancient world? What is the best way to translate this term into modern language? There's a whole raft of methodologies we can use to interpret a text responsibly, some better, some not as helpful. What disciplined exegesis does for us is prevent us from simply reading into a text whatever we want to see. This is what we would call eisegesis, reading into the text, placing our biases on the text rather than being disciplined about drawing meaning out of the text on its own term. Exegesis enables us to talk about a text together using a common set of tools which hopefully prevent us from simply making the text say whatever we want it to say. And don't be intimidated by the word. Yes, there are scholarly tools of exegesis that do require specialized knowledge of original languages, but that doesn't mean there aren't tools we ordinary people can use to interpret the Bible responsibly. There are, and you probably use them more than you think you do. What are they? Well, let's return to that tomorrow. In the meantime, the important thing is to know that struggling together to understand the Bible is what faithful discipleship is all about. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.